Have you ever looked into a mirror in the dark and felt like your reflection wasn't moving the same way you were? What if something was looking back at you? Something ancient, something hungry. Tonight, we are going to explore one of the most frightening legends ever whispered across the world, the legend of Bloody Mare. So turn off the lights, sit close to the screen, and remember this warning. If you say her name 3 times in front of a mirror, she just might answer. Mirrors are strange things. We look into them every day without thinking. They show us our faces, our movements, the little details of who we are. But what if mirrors don't just reflect us? What if they are doors? Thin glass doors between our world and something darker. For centuries, people have believed that mirrors are dangerous. In many old cultures, mirrors were covered after someone died, because it was said that the soul of the dead could get trapped inside the glass. Some believed that if you stared too long into a mirror, you might see something standing behind you, even if you are completely alone. Others whispered that mirrors don't always show you yourself. Sometimes, they show you what is waiting on the other side. And from these whispers came one of the most chilling legends of all, the story of Bloody Mare. The name is enough to make children shiver during sleepovers. It is a dare, a challenge, a test of courage. Stand in a dark room, usually a bathroom, turn off the lights, light a candle, or stand in the glow of the moon. Then, look into the mirror and say her name 3 times. Bloody Mare, Bloody Mare, Bloody Mare. Some say you must spin in a circle before saying her name. Some say you must hold a candle. Some say you must whisper instead of speak. But the ending is always the same. If you are unlucky, she will appear. But who is she? Where did she come from? The legend has many faces, many versions, and that is what makes her so terrifying. One story says Bloody Mare was a queen, Mary Tudor, the Queen of England in the 1500s. She was called Bloody Mare because she ordered the execution of hundreds of people. Her reign was soaked in fear and her name became a symbol of death and cruelty. Some believe her spirit never rested, that her soul became trapped, cursed to answer when her name is called. Another version says she was Mary Worth, a woman in colonial America. Some say she was a witch who practiced dark rituals in the forest. Others say she was just a healer, misunderstood and accused of witchcraft. Either way, the villagers burned her alive or hanged her, and as she died, she cursed them. She swore she would return through any mirror if anyone dared to call her name. There is yet another tale about a young girl named Mary who died tragically. Some say she was in a terrible accident, her face left disfigured. Ashamed, she refused to look into mirrors again. But after death, she became obsessed with them, and now waits for her chance to drag others into her broken reflection. Different stories, different origins, but the legend always returns to the same dark ritual. And what makes it so terrifying is that thousands of people claim to have tried it. From children at sleepovers, to college students on Halloween, to paranormal investigators with cameras and microphones. Some laugh, saying nothing happened, but others describe something that still chills their blood. They say the air becomes heavy, the room grows colder, and the flame of the candle flickers even when there is no wind. They say the mirror begins to ripple as if it were water. A shape forms behind the glass, blurry at first, then clearer, until you see her face. Sometimes she is a queen with a crown, her eyes full of blood and fire. Sometimes she is a witch, her mouth twisted in a hateful grin. Sometimes she is a broken girl, her skin scarred, her eyes weeping blood. But always, she is angry, and always, she wants something. Some say she reaches through the mirror to scratch your face. Some say she drags you inside the glass where you are lost forever. And some say she takes your soul, leaving only your empty reflection behind. Think about that. The next time you look into a mirror, what if the reflection isn't really you? What if it is her waiting, copying you, until until the moment you call her name. Pause. Add faint sound of glass cracking. Bloody Mary has become more than just a ghost story. She is a ritual, a test of bravery, and a warning. Parents warn children not to play the game. Schools whisper about the girl who vanished after doing it. Friends dare each other, laughing, until the laughter stops. Her legend has traveled from England to America, from Europe to Asia, and every culture adds its own darkness. Sometimes she appears with blood dripping from her eyes. Sometimes she carries a baby in her arms, the ghost of a child she lost. Sometimes she simply stands there, staring, waiting, until the candle burns out. But the most frightening part of her story is this. It does not matter which version you believe. It does not matter how the ritual is done. What matters is that millions of people across hundreds of years still fear her, still whisper about her, still wonder what would happen if they tried it. And every year, someone does. A curious child, a nervous teenager, a skeptic who wants to prove it wrong. They close the door, turn off the lights, look into the mirror, and whisper her name. Sometimes, they laugh when nothing happens. But sometimes, they don't come back out. There are many ghost stories, but few ask you to take part in them. Most tales, you only listen. But the legend of Bloody Mary is different. It is not just a story. It is a ritual, a dangerous invitation, where you are the one who calls her. And once the ritual begins, there is no turning back. The most common version is simple: a bathroom, a mirror, and a dark, silent room. You close the door, switch off the light, and let the silence wrap around you. For some, even this moment is terrifying. The world shrinks into darkness. Your reflection disappears into the black glass, and your mind begins to play tricks. You feel like someone is already standing behind you, even though you know you are alone. But this is only the beginning. Some versions of the ritual say you must light a single candle. The flame is your only companion, a tiny light in a sea of shadows. It flickers, bends, and wavers, as if it knows what you are about to do. Others say you must hold a candle in each hand, so when you call her name, she will appear between the flames. There are even stories where the instructions are whispered differently. Spin in a circle 3 times before speaking. Whisper her name 13 times. Stare directly into your own eyes in the mirror, without blinking. Or hold a drop of blood in your mouth while you say her name. Different rules, different details, but all the rituals lead to the same place: calling her. So imagine this now. You stand before the mirror. Your heart pounds louder than your breath. The candle trembles in your hand. And in the silence, you whisper, "Bloody Mary." The words echo softly in the still air. Nothing happens. Only the flicker of the candle. You swallow, your mouth dry, and you whisper again, "Bloody Mary." The shadows seem thicker now. The silence, heavier. Your reflection seems less real, as if the glass is soft like water. You take a deep breath and speak for the 3rd time, "Bloody Mary." At first, nothing. And then, the air grows colder. Your skin prickles with goosebumps. You feel as if the room is breathing with you, like the darkness itself has come alive. The flame bends sideways, even though there is no wind. And in the glass, something begins to shift. Maybe it starts as a shadow. Maybe it looks like smoke behind you. Or maybe it is a shape. Blurry, distorted, but getting clearer with every second. Some say she appears as a pale woman, her eyes empty, her mouth twisted into a smile. Others say she drips with blood, her face scarred, her hands sharp like claws. And some see nothing at all until she whispers in their ear. But the ritual is dangerous, and because once she appears and no one truly knows what will happen next. Some survivors say she scratches the skin, leaving red claw marks across their arms or faces. Others claim she drags them into the mirror, pulling them into her world, a place of endless darkness, where screaming never stops. Some say she only stares at you, and then vanishes. But in that silence, in the empty dark, you know she has not gone. She is still with you, watching, waiting for the next time you look into a mirror. There are old warnings about how to end the ritual safely. One rule says, never let the candle burn out while you are still looking. If it dies before you finish, she will be free to stay. Another rule says after calling her name, you must turn on the lights immediately before she takes form completely. The light, it is said, breaks the doorway and forces her back inside the mirror. Some say you should never run away from the mirror. If you do, she will follow you. They warn you to stay calm, whisper a prayer, and break eye contact slowly. But of course, these are only rules passed down from whispers, rumors, and stories. No one can truly say if they work, because those who fail rarely return to tell their side. It is not only children who play this game. Even adults, brave skeptics, ghost hunters, and thrill seekers have tried it. Some record the ritual with cameras, some live stream it online, and often, the video ends in silence. The camera falls, the screen goes black. What happened? Was it fear? Was it panic? Or did she appear? Mirrors are dangerous things. They do not only show the outside, they reflect the inside. And when you stand in front of one, in the silence, in the dark, you are not just seeing yourself. You are standing at a doorway to something you may not understand. And Bloody Mare is the one who waits on the other side. So if you are ever dared to play the ritual, remember this. When the room grows cold, when the flame flickers, when the glass begins to ripple, it is already too late. She has heard you. She is looking back, and she is deciding if she will answer. Stories always begin as whispers. A legend is just a shadow, passed from one mouth to another. But sometimes, the whispers become screams. And sometimes, the shadows step out of the dark and leave marks behind. These are the encounters. The nights when people claimed that Bloody Mare answered their call. One of the oldest stories comes from the 1960s. A group of schoolgirls no older than 12 gathered in a bathroom at a slumber party. The lights were off. One girl held a candle in a shaky hand. They giggled nervously, trying to hide their fear. They had been dared to summon her. They spun in circles, 3 times, and together they whispered her name. Bloody Mare, Bloody Mare, Bloody Mare. At first, nothing, and then a sudden scream. One of the girls dropped the candle and it rolled across the floor. The others swore they saw something in the mirror, a pale face, eyes that were not their own. But the scariest part was the mark. The girl holding the candle had 3 long scratches across her arm, fresh, bleeding. She swore she never touched herself. The others swore they never saw her move. That scar, she said, never truly faded. Another story comes from the 1980s. A college student named Rebecca was writing a paper about urban legends. She did not believe in ghosts. She did not believe in curses. So one night, alone in her dorm bathroom, she decided to test the ritual for herself. She turned off the lights, stared into the glass, and whispered the name 3 times. At first, she felt nothing. She laughed nervously at her own reflection. But then, the room grew cold. Her reflection began to change. Her face stretched. Her eyes widened. Her mouth curled into a smile she could not control. She gasped. Her own reflection was smiling back at her, but she was not smiling at all. She stumbled back, turned on the light, and everything was normal again. But for weeks, she swore she could feel eyes staring at her whenever she passed a mirror. And every time she glanced quickly, she thought she saw herself, still smiling. There are darker tales. In Chicago, a teenager named Daniel was dared by his friends to play the game in an abandoned house. The The bathroom was covered in dust. The mirror cracked across the middle. He stood before it, his friends recording on an old camcorder. He whispered the name. Once, twice, 3 times. The recording shows him standing still, staring. And then, his body jerks. He screams and drops to the floor. The others rush in, panicked. When they lift him up, his shirt is torn across the chest. And beneath it, 3 bloody claw marks. Too deep, too real, to be a joke. The video still exists. It is grainy, old, but you can still hear the moment when he screams, and you can hear something else, faint, a woman's laugh. Not from him, not from his friends, but from behind the camera. Even in the modern age, with cell phones and live streams, stories continue. In 2016, a group of YouTubers attempted the Bloody Mary ritual live. Thousands of people watched in real time. They laughed at first, joking with their audience. But after the 3rd call, the feed began to glitch. The screen went black for a moment. When it returned, the camera was on the floor, pointed upward. For just 2 seconds, the pale figure could be seen in the corner of the mirror. Long hair, white face, dark eyes. And then, nothing. The video ended. The creators never uploaded again. Their channel went silent. Viewers still argue if it was real or staged, but those who saw it live swear they will never forget her face. These encounters are not just found in stories or videos. Some people say the legend follows them home. They did the ritual once, as a joke. And then strange things began to happen. Mirrors cracking in the middle of the night, wet handprints on the glass, even when no one touched it. Whispers in the bathroom, just beyond the edge of hearing. One woman claimed that after trying the ritual in her teens, she avoided mirrors completely. She covered every reflective surface in her house. But even then, she saw her reflection in the window, in the TV screen, in the shine of a polished floor, always smiling, always watching. There are darker tales. In Chicago, a teenager named Daniel was dared by his friends to play the game in an abandoned house. The bathroom was covered in dust. The mirror cracked across the middle. He stood before it, his friends recording on an old camcorder. He whispered the name. Once, twice, 3 times. The recording shows him standing still, staring. And then, his body jerks. He screams and drops to the floor. The others rush in, panicked. When they lift him up, his shirt is torn across the chest. And beneath it, 3 bloody claw marks. Too deep, too real, to be a joke. The video still exists. It is grainy, old, but you can still hear the moment when he screams, and you can hear something else, faint, a woman's laugh. Not from him, not from his friends, but from behind the camera. Even in the modern age, with cell phones and live streams, stories continue. In 2016, a group of YouTubers attempted the Bloody Mary ritual live. Thousands of people watched in real time. They laughed at first, joking with their audience. But after the 3rd call, the feed began to glitch. The screen went black for a moment. When it returned, the camera was on the floor, pointed upward. For just 2 seconds, the pale figure could be seen in the corner of the mirror. Long hair, white face, dark eyes. And then, nothing. The video ended. The creators never uploaded again. Their channel went silent. Viewers still argue if it was real or staged, but those who saw it live swear they will never forget her face. These encounters are not just found in stories or videos. Some people say the legend follows them home. They did the ritual once, as a joke. And then strange things began to happen. Mirrors cracking in the middle of the night, wet handprints on the glass, even when no one touched it. Whispers in the bathroom, just beyond the edge of hearing. One woman claimed that after trying the ritual in her teens, she avoided mirrors completely. She covered every reflective surface in her house. But even then, she saw her reflection in the window, in the TV screen, in the shine of a polished floor, always smiling, always watching. Skeptics say these stories are only imagination. that when people stare into a mirror in the dark, their minds play tricks. There is even a name for it, the Troxler effect. When you stare too long, your brain begins to erase and distort details. Faces change, shadows move. You see what is not really there. But if that is true, how do you explain the scratches, the recordings, the voices caught on tape? How do you explain the people who never speak about what they saw because they refuse to ever talk about it again? The truth is simple. The ritual continues. Children whisper her name in sleepovers. Teenagers dare each other at parties. Adults test their courage in silence. And every year, more stories are told. Of the woman in the mirror, the pale figure waiting in the dark. The ghost who is not a ghost, but something far worse. And if even one of those stories is real, then it means only one thing. When you stand before the mirror, when you whisper her name, when you stare into the darkness, you are not alone. She is there, waiting, smiling, deciding what to do with you. And by the time you realize the truth, her hand is already on your shoulder. And so in the story of Bloody Mare, it remains, passed from one generation to the next, from children whispering in the dark to adults who laugh nervously at the memory, but never dare to try again. No one knows exactly who she is. A cursed soul, a murdered woman, a witch burned long ago, or simply a reflection of our deepest fears, staring back at us through the glass. But what we do know is that the ritual survives. It is played in bedrooms, in bathrooms, in basements where the light barely flickers. Even in the digital age, where everything is explained away, there are still moments that cannot be explained. The scratches, the cold hands, the reflection that does not belong to you. And perhaps that is the true horror, that we live with mirrors every single day. We trust them, we face them, we fix our hair, we brush our teeth, we stare into them casually. But what if, every time you look into a mirror, she is already there, hidden just behind the glass, waiting for your guard to drop, waiting for you to say her name. Maybe you believe the legend, maybe you don't. But tonight, when you turn off the lights, when you walk past your bathroom mirror in the dark, ask yourself this: what if someone else is looking back? What if those eyes do not blink when yours do? What if the face you see is not entirely your own? The story of Bloody Mare is not just about fear. It is about temptation, the need to know, the need to test, to stare into the void and whisper her name, even when every instinct tells you not to. So if you are listening to this now, and you feel brave, you can try it yourself. Turn off the lights, stand before the mirror, whisper her name. But remember this warning: if she answers, you cannot unsee her. And once she knows your face, once she has heard your voice, you may never truly be alone again. Because mirrors are everywhere, and sooner or later you will catch her standing behind you. Pause, then whisper softly, "Good night," and don't look in the mirror. If you survived this story, leave a candle emoji in the comments and so we know you are still here. And if you want more nightmares, more haunted legends, more voices that whisper in the dark, subscribe and join us, because the night is only beginning.